fishing, what did you do to make a living?
We were farming then.
And how big a farm was it?
They had about, not very much, about 9 or 10 acres or something, you know, not small farms. 3 acres was what you could keep a cow on there.
And what would you grow on the farm?
Potatoes were the most thing that they grew there.
And did you work in any mines over there?
I worked in the Allegheny copper mine, yeah.
And were there a lot of people in Butte that had worked in those mines earlier?
There were some men there from Butte, yeah.
They were?
Yeah.
And was that mine, were those mines like these mines in any way? You know?
No, it's nothing like the mines here. Them mines had worked for 100 years. See, it was a sailor, an English sailor that jumped ship down in the south of Ireland, and down around Kinsale or someplace, and he was wandering around and he came up there through Alleghys. And he saw that green water coming down out of the ground there, down into the harbor, you know, running on down, and he notified the English government that there was copper there. So then they opened up all kinds of copper mines there, about 6 of them, you know. They built engines there that you couldn't believe, the walls on them were stone walls, and they were 3 or 4 feet thick.
For the engine rooms?
For the engine rooms, yeah. And I don't know what kind of engines they ever had in them engine rooms, because there wasn't a trace of them there in my time. The mines closed about 1896 or sometime, and then them people that were living there that were dependent on the mines, they came out to Michigan. And Butte opened up. And when Butte opened up, a lot of them right away, all the ones from Bearhaven there, they headed out for Butte.
So that would be a lot of our families then, that went from Cork to Michigan to Butte.
To Butte, yeah. That's how they got out here.
How deep were those mines in the Alleghys?
From the north engine down to the bottom there, there was an open cut for a mile and a half along the hill there. It was 1,900 feet deep. And they just took that right out of there. The cut was about from the window like that, wide. But down the window was full of water up to the tunnel coming into the north engine. Just like the mines here, it filled up with water, you know.
So was it full of water when you were working in it?
It was full of water, and they were just getting started, but the war was over then, and copper wasn't very essential, you know.
I see. So without the water, how would the tunnels, the drifts go underneath the ocean?
The drifts, and some of them were out underneath the ocean, yeah. And Dunedin, on the way into Raintress, there was an engine there. Yank Harrington blasted it down there in my time. He had no business doing it either. The tunnels from that went out underneath the ocean there.
And did they pump the water? They had pumps going?
Oh, they had pumps, yeah. But we had pumps there. We had a dry summer there. The summer that I worked there. And we used all the water from the old Bearhaven mines, dams that were up in the mountain there. We used all that water. Then we started using the water from underground. Well, after it got down about 15 feet, or the kind of pumps we had wouldn't pump it anymore. So they were going to get more pumps in, better big pumps, you know, good ones. And well, the pumps came as far as Bantry. And the English soldiers stopped the pumps right there. They wouldn't let the pumps come any further. So the mines had to close down then.
But were the miners that were there from Butte, that returned from Butte, were they thought of as good miners?
They were good miners. They were really good miners. They were working in I worked in for 6 years, you know, in New York, in the subways there, building subways, that 8th Avenue subway, and and the subway down from Wall Street down through Broad Street down and into the Montague, underneath the East River, down to the Montague Street Tunnel, where it joined up with the other one going to Brooklyn. And good miners were working there.
And they were pretty good at their trade.
Oh,
good reputation.
They had that down perfect.
Yeah.
You have to know how to drill that ground, you know.
Well, when you were in Ireland, were you there when there was fighting going on?
Oh, sure, I was there. I was working at the mine there, and so the black and tans, they called the English soldiers, they'd come out there trying to catch somebody that they wanted, you know. Come out to alleys. They'd come three ways. They'd come over from the Irish parish over the hill, and they'd come from the south, from Castletown, and come in, and they'd come in by boat from Ballindinnigan, and they'd rush up there with the soldiers, you know, and they'd come up there to the mine and they'd round us up, and they'd march us down for about a mile or so down to the village down there. It's Salahy's village now. They used to call it Cluin in them days. And they'd line us up at the church wall there. They had walls around the church and them. And that was 20 and 21 when I was working at the mine there.
So was the Civil War going on then?
Oh yeah, it was on strong then.
And who was on either side of the Civil War? Why don't you explain that to us?
Well, there was an RIC troops there at that time. They were the Irish, you know, and Liam O'Dwyer was the head of the RIC in our district around there.
Now the RIC stood for what? What did that mean? Is that Royal Irish Constabulary, or what is it stand?
The IRA, I should say.
IRA,
Yeah.
okay.
IRA.
So you had the IRA operating in the countryside?
You had the IRA were in Castletown Bear, and that was about 10 or 15 miles away, depending on how Irish miles. The English used to measure their miles that time at over 6,000 feet, and we had 5,280 in ours. So I don't know what they got in there now. They had different measurements back there for measuring tons, 2,240 pounds to the ton, you know.
Well, so who was the leader of the IRA in Cork?
Well, the one down in our district was Dwyer. Yeah, Dwyer. He was Brevard.
What was his name?
Liam.
Liam?
Yeah.
O'Dwyer.
That's William in English.
And he was the commander of the IRA?
He was the commander there in our place. And they were very active. They blew the Coast Guard stations up there, and they blew the IRA barracks down and ran the police out of there.
They blew up the RIC barracks?
Yeah.
Now the RIC, was that the English or was that the Free Staters?
That was before the Free State.
Oh, okay.
They still hadn't settled, you know, and so that's the reason it was so active. You had to have your names where you were living on the back of the door in the house where you lived. So if they come out there and there was somebody else there, they'd take them into Castletown, you know.
And what would they do to him?
Well, they'd question him, and I don't know what else they do with him. They'd punish him, and somebody that they want to get information out of him, they'd take him to Spike Island and punish him. It was up in Cork Harbour someplace.
Well, did you ever see any fighting, any shooting?
When I was working at the mine there, they came out there, and anyway, there was a family down below the mine there. Their names were Newmans, and one of the Newman boys was a little bit retarded. And when he saw the soldiers, he started running down the field. And the sergeant, he ordered the men to shoot him. And the mother was right there, and she said, don't, he's not right, don't shoot him. But he shot him and killed him anyway.